Africa service of Vatican Radio.
Welcome to our daily program for Africa.
In today's program, you can hear our for family. First, however, our bulletin of church news. I am Festus Tarawali. Pope Francis on Sunday encouraged the faithful to build their home with God. Addressing thousands of pilgrims and visitors present in St. Peter's Square for the Angelus, the Pope said our journey during this period of Lent beckons us to build a great sense of home with God by strengthening our relationship through prayer, trust, and intimacy, while also building fellowship and fraternity with our brothers and sisters. He took his cue from the Gospel reading of the day that recounts the episode when Jesus drove out the merchants from the temple. Thaddeus Jones has this report.
Addressing the visitors and pilgrims in St. Peter's Square for the midday Angelus prayer, Pope Francis reflected on the Sunday Gospel for the day that recounts the episode when Jesus drove out the merchants from the temple, admonishing all by saying, "Stop making my Father's house a marketplace."
Soffermiamoci un po' sul contrasto sacro.
And examine how our approach to the Lord differs depending on whether we have a market or home-type mindset. The market approach to temple worship recalls when it was enough to buy a lamb and consume it on the altar of coals to be right with God. He explained a process of purchasing, paying, and consuming. The idea, instead of the temple being understood as a home, implies the opposite, he said, where one goes there to meet the Lord and draw close to him, as well as to our brothers and sisters as a community that shares joys and sorrows. The zealous action of Jesus recounted in today's gospel shows how the Lord does not accept the market temple that takes the place of the house temple, the Pope explained, adding that the market approach creates a distant and mercenary relationship with God, while the home understanding an intimate, trusting rapport with the Lord as in a loving family. He underscored that the Lord came to bring communion with him and among our brothers and sisters. Our Lenten journey calls on us to build a greater sense of home within ourselves and all around us, the Pope went on to say, first towards God through prayer, like children who knock confidently at the Father's door without getting tired, and next through building fraternity with our brothers and sisters, saying there's a great need for it in our world today. The Pope observed how in our daily lives we often encounter isolation or what seems to be a hostile environment in many places. He suggested we examine the nature of our relationships with others and whether we take the first step to bring down the walls of silence or bridge the emptiness that stands between us. He also recommended we look at our prayer life, whether we treat it just as a duty to pay while we look at the clock, or a time of trusting abandonment in the Lord. He concluded, may Mary help us to build a home with God among us and around us. I'm Thaddeus Jones.
In remarks after reciting the Marian prayer at the Angelus, the Pope issued a heartfelt appeal for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and for the Palestinian population to receive urgently needed aid. He also appealed for the release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Linda Bodoni reports.
Basta, per favore, diciamo tutti noi, basta, per favore.
Pope Francis has called on us all to say enough. Stop the war in the Middle East.
Fermatevi.
Every day in my heart, I carry the pain and suffering of the populations in Palestine and Israel due to the ongoing hostilities, said Pope Francis on Sunday in yet another heartfelt appeal for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Porto quotidianamente nel cuore con dolori la sofferenza delle popolazioni.
And expressing grief for the thousands of dead, the wounded, the displaced, the immense destruction that wreaks pain and suffering on the smallest and most defenseless who see their future compromised, the Pope calls on all men and women of goodwill to raise their cry for peace. Speaking during the Angelus in St. Peter's Square, he asked, do we really think we are building a better world in this way?
Mi domando, davvero si pensa di costruire un mondo migliore in questo modo? Davvero si pensa di raggiungere la pace?
Let us all say, enough, please. He repeated, stop the war.
Basta, per favore, diciamo tutti noi, basta, per favore.
The Pope continued with an appeal to go forward with negotiations for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and throughout the region.
Incoraggio a continuare I negoziati per un immediato cessate il fuoco a Gaza e a tutta la regione.
So that the hostages may be freed and return to their anxiously awaiting loved ones, he said, and so the civilian population may have safe access to necessary and urgent humanitarian aid.
And looking ahead to the second edition of the 5th March International Day for Disarmament and Non-Proliferation Awareness, the Pope lamented that many resources are wasted in the purchase of weapons. He said how many resources are wasted on military expenditure, which, due to the current situation, sadly continues to increase. I sincerely hope that the international community understands that disarmament is first and foremost a duty. Disarmament is a moral duty, stressed the Pope, adding, let's get this into our heads. Continuing, he said, and this requires the courage on the part of all members of the great family of nations to move from the balance of fear to the balance of trust. This Sunday, the 3rd of March, is World Wildlife Day. The day was established on the 20th of December 2013 at the UN General Assembly with the aim of commemorating the adoption of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, or CITES, on the 3rd of March 1973. Here is a part of the message from Yvonne Iguero, Secretary General of CITES, for this year's observance.
This year, World Wildlife Day invites us all on a journey to explore technological innovation dedicated to the conservation of our planet's magnificent animals and plants. Digital innovation is transforming the way we safeguard our invaluable biodiversity. Groundbreaking apps now enable us to tell apart different tiger species in seconds. Drones are helping us roam large areas to locate sea turtle nesting sites. Advanced tracking systems, real-time data analytics, and artificial intelligence-driven solutions are empowering conservationists with unprecedented tools to help identify, monitor, track, and ultimately preserve our wildlife. However, as we leverage our growing technological capacities, we must also revitalize our commitments to sustainable development. This includes preventing destructive ecological impacts, mitigating threats to species and livelihoods from the misuse of technology, and ensuring digital inclusion for all by 2030. We find ourselves navigating an evolving landscape of digital connectivity and wildlife conservation. Now is our chance to harness the benefits that emerging technologies bring, both to the natural world and to humanity. Now is the time to build the sustainable future where planet and people flourish together.
That was Yvonne Iguero, Secretary General of CITES, that is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Nigeria's pioneer Catholic university, Veritas University in Abuja, recently organized a media parley to inform the public on the progress of the institution and seek support where necessary. Delphine Asu reports from Abuja.
The media parley took place at the school's premises in Buhari Area Council, Abuja. The Vice-Chancellor, Reverend Father Professor Hyacinth Ichoku, encouraged government support of private universities, but was skeptical about the encumbrances it might attract.
The good idea for one to extent is funding to private universities in Nigeria, because the students here are also, not just in Veritas, but also in other private universities, are also citizens of this country. And so if they benefit from the funding that is derived from the taxes their parents pay, I think it's a good idea, very good idea. So I think it would be a great thing for them to extend their benevolence to private universities. But the other side of the story is we don't at the same time want to be encumbered. We don't want to be encumbered by the procedures or I wouldn't say some embarrassment that come from public funding. money, where people now begin to come and believe that they can share. So now the money is being allocated to private universities, and they want to come and share, give us a cut. So, you know, it's not what I mean. You come from oversight function, you want to see what has been done. Oh, you must give us this, otherwise you won't approve this, you won't approve your budget if you don't get this amount.
The media parley was an opportunity to reel out other feats of the school, which follows the success of the school in the telecommunications innovative competition that took place in Kenya.
And that involves all the universities in Africa, but particularly the shortlisted 26 ones to us. In the process, Veritas University's innovation emerged the best in Africa. Of all the universities in Africa, Veritas University was the champion of the debate, which was organized in Nairobi. It was the Pan-African University championship. Prior to that time, and of course, to qualify them to go to Africa in Nairobi was actually a competition of all the universities in Nigeria, where Veritas University was also the champion. That qualified them to represent Nigeria, not just Nigeria, but the whole of Africa in the intercontinental debate that will be happening in New York in April. All the competition they did in accounting, that was accounting championship. And again, Veritas University was the first. And that was repeated a year after. So, and the one they did, our NFCS people, National Association of Federation of College Students, the one they did for the whole of Abuja Ecclesiastical Prophets, of course, Veritas University was also the first.
It was also an opportunity to call foreign investors to take advantage of the innovative strides of the students of Veritas University.
In terms of developing these inventions and innovations to their next level. So we need to have investors, we need to have entrepreneurs who are ready to help our students. Some of them have also registered. I can tell you some of our students have registered companies.
In Abuja, Nigeria, Delphine Asu reporting.
You are tuned to the Africa service of Vatican Radio.